Good evening. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes, 5 segments, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, 1 guest, some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are
Yes,
you? How's it going?
I'm a little better.
You
I'm
look better. You
I look
look
better. Okay, good.
yeah, you look less peaked.
Still under the weather. Can't believe I just coughed. Still coughing. But not on death's door. So this is listen, guys, it's not COVID. It's the respiratory uh
Yeah, we know what it is. It's a
thing.
Stephanie Koff is what it is. You've
It's a
got the Stephanie
Stephanie
Koff.
cough. I got the Stephanie
Ah.
cough.
Ha
So
Wah,
just be
wah.
careful. I got it from a relative, from my mom when we were traveling together. And there was no avoiding it, because there just was no avoiding it. So, but wear a mask. Still wear your masks, everybody. This is bad. You don't want this.
It's no kind of fun. I have
Okay.
something important to say.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the numbers. I can see here how many people are watching live,
Yeah.
and there's like at least 9 times the number of people watching, probably closer to 10 times people are watching than watch Don Jr. make his speech at CPAC today.
Oh,
I think
hey,
good for
everybody.
us. Congratulations, everybody. It's all good.
But how about how many people you saw last night? Not as many as that.
Not as many as that. Not as
Tell
many
us
as
about
that.
your night.
Yeah. I was at the Elvis Costello show.
Mhm.
Elvis and the Imposters playing in Kingston, New York at the UPAC. Fantastic show. He was really funny. The banter was just top shelf A+,
Oh.
like stand-up comic banter. And at one point, he described Atlantic City as a depressive money laundering something. I can't remember the word he used, but depressive was one of the words, and money laundering, I don't know if it was pit
Perfect.
or something. And I was like, yep. And he was like, the guys that own the casinos are some shady characters, he said. So that was
Well, you
kind
would
of
know
funny.
because he was performing there, so he knows who's booking him and
Yeah.
giving him
He was
sweets.
like, everyone that works there is great, but the owners, not
Uh,
so sure about
oh,
them.
no.
Yeah, but he was fantastic. If you could go see him, he ended the night with what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding, which feels like a very, very current song. It's written by
Yeah.
Nick Lowe in like 1977 or something, or
Mm.
earlier than that, I think 73. And where are the strong? Who are the trusted? The
Oh.
strong are here in the chat room. That's where the strong are. I'm
That's where they
pleased to say.
are. I see
Yeah.
them in there. Oh, new member, Richard Starr. Hi, Richard Starr.
I forgot
Nice to
about that.
have you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. We appreciate it.
We
We're
appreciate
gonna
it.
do a little after hours behind the velvet rope kind of moment.
We're doing
When
that later after
when
the
the
show.
lights go out on this show, join us over in the other in the inside the club.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
be a member to go there. We're gonna True Player will post a link later on, and I'll try to tweet it. So everybody can see it. I want to make sure everybody can see it. We'll give you plenty of time to get in. I know
Yeah.
there's been like issues with it before, and we're kind of sporadic with these things. We're just figuring it out. We're figuring it out.
We're figuring it
So
out. We're gonna
yeah,
make it work.
um,
But mostly we just want to hang out with you guys, and it's
that's the
like
thing.
a Friday night. I'm not going anywhere. I can't. I can't. I tried to go somewhere yesterday, and I successfully went somewhere yesterday, and I was even like covered in a blanket with a heater on me, and I came home and I was like, oh man, that was way too much effort. So I'm a full on old woman at this point. But let's get to our guest. Should we jump into anything else we want to say top of the show?
Top of the show. Do you have you seen the 39 Steps? Because I haven't. I just was
Yeah.
like, no, me neither. But it's a Hitchcock film about counterintelligence and
I
spies,
know. I
which
know.
I was like, oh my god, this is too perfect. Okay,
All right, maybe that's what we'll watch this weekend. We'll
okay,
take a little
yeah,
commitment.
it's supposed to be good. Orson
Should be
Welles said
good.
it was good, so
All right.
it's all that. So okay, so our first topic, number one, Do Ray.
Don't. Yeah. So wait. Oh, I forgot
Wait,
my clock. I apologize to
I'm
everybody.
gonna before we get to it here.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I want to show everybody a meme that Paul
Oh,
Lee made. Here we go. This is the
yeah.
meme. Paul Lee. So, okay, it says FBI Director Ray, and it's like a sleeping cat, and these multiple allegations against Kavanaugh. He's asleep. He's asleep for J6. He's asleep for McGonagall. And then he wakes up, go on Fox to talk about COVID.
Oh, yeah. Let's do
So
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paulie
so
TX, greatest meme ever, I think.
yeah, it's pretty great because it's like, what can actually get this guy's interest? Certainly not doing his job unless that's his job, unless his job is actually going on a propaganda network that just what was it, less than 24, 48 hours before, in a civil court proceeding, under oath, the people who run that network admitted, again, in court. I'm not talking about, this isn't shit flinging in politics. This isn't one news station stuff. This is like, actually, this is something that falls under the purvey of justice.
Yep.
Um, at Rupert Murdoch admitting that they knew, and everyone that's seeing the evidence, that they all knew they were lying. They knew they were lying about January 6th. They knew they were lying about whether or not the election had been stolen, which was the basis for January 6th. This is the core tenet now of since 2001, and the election denial and the election sort of, it's all rigged and all that, starting back in 2016. And then if you follow Roger Stone with Stop the Steal garbage, that goes all the way back to 2000. But that piece of propaganda is an attack, because propaganda is a weapon when deployed like this over this massive news network, knowing they're lying and just fire hosing this directly into the brains of passive observing U.S. citizens, radicalizing them into the domestic terror movement, which this is like, we have different divisions of domestic terror. And a big one is based on this tenet of, we've got to take up arms and start civil war, or go after and kill all the woke people now because they stole the election from Donald Trump and Joe Biden's not really the president. And this is a radicalization machine. They admitted to it. And the guy that is in charge of law enforcement, which includes domestic terror, who's gone and testified that, yes, we have a domestic terror issue in this country, and he's been testifying regularly about that. The large majority of that is it's sort of these right-wing militia, right, white nationalist driven, but also now this election denial shit is radicalizing people. And he goes on that network to talk about COVID and lab leaks, and what do we know?
Yeah.
I honestly, you guys, this is not about politics at all at this point, not in terms of, if we want to say it's, this is the state of our politics, is it's, a terror movement with the intent to reinstall, by force if necessary, a strong man, doing away with our democratic processes, which is an attack on our democracy. And we have a national security issue with the domestic terror groups that are engaged in that radicalized thought. And the fucking FBI director goes on that network.
Yep.
This isn't, we're going to go behind enemy lines and get in there and I'm going to try to get people out of the bubble. That was a trust wash of that network by the director of the fucking FBI. I could not believe that happened. I can believe it happened because I was the one going, for 12 years, that motherfucker represented Gazprom. He was Chris Christie's phone hiding guy. This is the shadiest motherfucker, right? And since Hoover, that we've like willfully, knowingly allowed to go into that office, and he stays quiet. He does that cat napping. He stays like, oh, I'm just going to be out of it. But this is what he's showing up for. I want you to imagine the channels that were going on. Like, imagine we actually had a channel that was for an international terror movement and part of the radicalization of international terror, playing a willful role in that and radicalizing citizens elsewhere so that they would come and pose a threat to the United States and to our democracy. And imagine the fucking FBI director, our head of law enforcement, going and sitting on that channel to just chat with one of their anchors.
It's a disgrace. And
This is so fucking dangerous, and nobody is calling out this. Well, some people are, but I don't see that being the outrage. I don't see the outrage being about the radicalization, about the political violence,
yeah,
about threats that are happening to his FBI members of his own fucking force. They wanna they're saying that this Fox News is part of this whole echo chamber of the other big piece of propaganda they're pumping down now is this, and have always been, is this deep state, the FBI is out to get us. Holy shit, what the fuck are you doing, Chris Ray?
the only
What
silver
the fuck
lining
are you doing?
The
That's
only silver lining is this is an excuse now for Biden to fire his ass. It really
Well,
is.
these people
We
need to be cleaned out on day one. We were calling for it, and it wasn't about getting to this or getting that. It's that it just by the simple thing
the
that
guy.
this motherfucker that was our former president initiated a goddamn insurrection on top of all the other criminality. You can't trust anybody he put in.
But not only that, not just
Get rid
anybody
of
in any
clean house. It
role.
was a moment to clean house, and there was no cleaning house. There was no fucking cleaning house. What a disservice.
He fired Comey because Comey was investigating him.
Yeah.
And he admitted it. The day after that is when the Russian jackals, Lavrov and Kislyak, were in the fucking Oval Office.
Right.
God knows what shit they planted in there when their photographers were in there and ours were not. Trump basically told them, yeah, it's okay. He's off my back now. And
Yeah.
then the guy he hires to replace the guy who's investigating him is Chris Ray. So even if Chris Ray is the nicest guy, I don't fucking give a shit.
I don't give a
The
shit.
fact that he took that job under those circumstances automatically disqualifies him from anything, in my view. Why is he? Yeah,
I can't even with this trip to fucking Fox News, and
unbelievable.
there's no cause for it. There's nothing that you can even say, well, he's trying to, there's no justification for that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that Fox News, with all of this again, the people who run it admitted under oath in an official court proceeding.
And the
This
people
isn't
who,
this
yeah,
isn't something outside of justice. This is happening within justice. And this guy showed up to go, yeah, no big deal.
yeah. Now, you mentioned the guy that
That's my rant.
owns Fox News.
Yes, I did.
That was a good rant. That was a solid rant. The guy that owns Fox News, I've already ranted about, but I'm going to rant about him more.
Do it.
Rupert Murdoch, Australian, foreigner, here. I don't know why he's here. We let him in the country because he has money, I suppose. His gift for us letting him into the country and giving him citizenship is to destroy the country, to use every means at his disposal, money, power, influence, to rat fuck U.S. democracy.
Yeah.
Which he appears to want no part of. In the deposition, one of the interesting lines, one of the oh so clever lines that Rupert Murdoch said was that it's not about blue and red, it's about green, meaning he just wants the fucking money. I don't know. He's 91 fucking years old. Fox News is worth how many billions of dollars? Like News Corp is worth how much fucking money does this old ghoul need? Unless he really is a vampire and he's planning on living for another couple hundred years,
Maybe.
which I don't know. Paging Van Helsing, but it's I don't understand how someone can be that evil, because the disinformation that he allows, that he promotes, not just allows, endorses on his network, on Fox News, which remains the most watched news network. I had Kat Abu Ghazaleh on my podcast this morning. She watches that shit every day. God bless her.
Oh my God.
And the shit that they talk about is crazy. It's batshit nuts, and it's the same, hate mongers.
It's
But
radicalization. It's
it is
creating
a
an
radicalization
alternate
machine.
reality so
Yeah.
that people cannot trust their eyes and ears.
Yeah. It's and maybe red and blue, it's really green. Maybe he's talking about M&Ms like Tucker is. I don't know. But my question is, like, do you believe that? Do you believe that it's really about the money? Because I
No,
don't know. I
I
think
don't.
it's if he was an asset or for working for a hostile foreign power, there is literally nothing he would do differently than what he's doing right now. So what do you think, LB?
I think that the numbers don't add up. And what I'd
Yeah.
like to do is have somebody a proper study, because there's no way that this family and this man, with all the power they wield and how careful they are with their money. I remember finding all of their yachts in the offshores and how they were mixing that all up with these different funds with James Simons and like, oh look, there's Robert Mercer and Rentec, and oh look at all the cool stuff in these offshores that are all named after the yachts and assigned to the yachts, right? So when you're that fastidious with your money and careful with it, I just don't believe that I don't think that you throw you leave dollars on the table,
Yeah.
big dollars on the table, and nobody can tell me, or I'd like someone to tell me. I'd like someone to do a real study of, 1, the advertising dollars that they lose,
Because
right,
they've
and have
lost a lot.
lost.
Major
They've lost
advertisers
a
have not
lot.
been on Tucker
Yes,
for a year. Yeah.
they make their nut from the syndication, from the MSOs and from the satellites. MSOs are the cable companies, and from the satellites, right? So they make their money there through the subscriptions and the buy-ins and the add-ins and how they structured all of their agreements with the distributors. That's that's the count, so that's what has people say, well, they don't really care about the advertising because of this, but I'm not convinced of that. I if you can't say it's about greed and not care and leave that kind of money off the table, like
Yeah.
not touch it,
Yeah.
not want it in, because they could still own conservative news. They could still be doing a lot of what they do without this need for lies and have a lot more power and control, because they would actually have control over the politicians instead of the other way around. Um, and be a formidable force and not do this kind of radicalization. So I would like to see that study. I could be wrong. It could be no, the numbers are far greater here. I just, if he's already sold it all into all of this, it's already on all the platforms, and there's no undoing any of that. Then um, you can't say the advertising dollars don't matter,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't calculate.
Yeah.
It doesn't calculate for greedy rich people. So some other motivating factor, to me, some other motivating factor is in there, because he's not getting all that many more subscriptions by being this intent on radicalization. It's not He's already got the subscriptions. It's already done. Those deals are done and renewed. It doesn't have anything to do with eyeballs at this point. What the eyeballs give him, if it's the need to keep people and the need to keep people engaged and all of that, what that's for are the advertisers, and the advertisers are gone.
Yeah.
So if it's not for the advertisers, and it doesn't make a damn bit of difference because you've already negotiated your deal with all the platforms, then what are you getting out of this? Because it's not money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
So
if it
why
was
are you
just a
doing it?
plain old fashioned bank robbery, you don't leave
Yeah.
the jewels in the fucking drawer. You take everything. You don't leave some behind. You don't go through all that trouble and then just leave stuff behind. So I don't know. I just think
Here's
it's
an interesting comment. Maybe they're getting a whole lot more money from Russia. Maybe. Maybe there's a laundering aspect to this, a flight capital aspect of this that is not to be underplayed. And I would say it probably isn't, if we're going to start talking about that there's foreign money behind this guy's a foreigner anyway, but if there's
yeah,
hostile foreign powers and their money behind this guy, that he's made these sort of deals with the dark forces, or he's a creature of them, then it's going to be um, a lot more money than what Vladimir Putin can throw at him. It's going to be coming from China. It's going to be coming. It's a lot of money. So that would be the green.
yeah.
That stuff will eclipse the advertising dollars, and maybe that's the calculus. I really don't know.
I don't
But
know either, but
I think it's time to call him out
yeah,
on This is not a profitable strategy unless you're getting paid by dark forces.
Yeah. This is something that I got wrong. I mean, years ago, I basically was like, at some point, Fox News will have to pivot on Trump because he sucks, and they're going to want to stay in business as a news organization, and they never did. They didn't do it
Yeah.
until like a month ago, and not because of any reason other than they don't think he's going to win the election. It's
That's
that
my dog.
simple. Yeah.
Did you
Instead,
hear
they're
that
like,
elephant in the room thundering off? I'm sorry. That was my dog. I don't know
I
if you
did not
can
hear
remember or
that.
not.
I did
Okay.
not
I'm
hear.
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I want to let people know what
Okay.
that was.
I just maybe is it your dog or is it Rupert listening to us?
Maybe it's Rupert.
Rupert and his
Oh, what a stupid name.
91 years old, this guy, and he's just like, I'm not so old that I can't fuck you one more time. I'm not so
Well,
old I can't kill more people.
I want to
I'm
come back.
not so old I can't fuck everything up for Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to come back to this side thing that you floated in there right at the top of the segment of like, this is evil and not sort of understanding it. And we'll come to this towards the end and just remind me about the evil part. The point of evil is that you can't understand it other than it's evil. So if you're trying to look at evil and you're in the presence of evil and you're trying to find a motivation that makes sense to you, know that you're not going to find it. That's a cul-de-sac of nowhere. What you have to do is just say, it doesn't fucking matter. And because it's evil. The evil is the motivation in and of itself. And it's really hard for people to wrap their mind around that. I happen to have spent a lot of time with a forensic psychiatrist recently on a project. And boy, did he walk me through psychopathy and what that really looks like, what that is, how it manifests itself in human beings, and what kind of signs we have that we're actually in the presence of somebody who is got the underpinnings of evil working on them. And how you know it when it shows up. And always, 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 and this is biblical, it's in the Bible too, it's always a wall of lies.
Yeah.
Always.
That's the line from The Exorcist. The devil lies for his purpose.
That's right.
He mixes lies with truth for his purpose.
Yep.
Okay, we did not do a new karaoke this week because we didn't.
No, let's tell the story. Our audience deserves. So we did have one. We'll roll it out at a later time.
Yeah. It's in the podcast today, for God's sake.
It was in the
Anyone
podcast
who listens to the podcast
today.
heard it. Yeah.
If you listen to it, you heard it. But I was like, too soon. It was too early. We didn't think it would, and then it's like, it was too soon. So it's one of those things where it's like, But I reached back into the archives because I was like, let's just see what's in the archives. Because some of these things I forgot. And I found a gem that I had forgotten about. And I wanted to remind everybody about it. I put a little video context up front so you guys could remember this moment and how brilliant our Greg Olear is.
And what a terrible singer of high notes.
No,
okay, here we go.
So much.
Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
But Congress is certified. Now Congress is
Yeah, right.
Now Congress
I didn't say over, so let me see. Go to the paragraph before. I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me.
Just take it out. The heinous attack.
Good. Take the word yesterday, because it doesn't work with the heinous attack on our country. Say on our country.
Yesterday is a word that Donald cannot say. Is it because he didn't get his way? Or why can't Trump say yesterday? Suddenly, it's a seditious conspiracy, overthrowing our democracy. Oh, yesterday's a felony. Oh, he has to go, but we know he'd rather stay. Treason is a crime, he'll do time. But Rudy's phones were taken by Chris Ray. That's why Trump cat-faced yesterday.
Yesterday's a hard word for me.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. I
one.
want to say for the record that I did mine about a week before Randy Rainbow did his. Just
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yes.
And he's a much better singer and musician than I am, but very, very funny. But and he's still not in jail. We still, I don't know when we did that. It was a while ago.
We did that. That was one of our first. That might have been our first karaoke. It might have been the first one. It was one of the
Was that
first,
or Ginny? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was one. It's
Yeah.
one of the first like three. Yeah.
All right. Our guest has a tight schedule. We got to get him in here. He's a
Gotta get him
Gen
in.
Z activist. He's a junior at UCLA somehow. He's only a junior. He co-hosts the iGen Politics podcast. He's the strategy director of Voters of Tomorrow. He was the youngest delegate for Joe Biden. He has a column at Resolute Square, and he's got a YouTube show, On the Move, with Victor Shi. Victor Shi, how are you?
Victor Shi.
Victor Shi, you're on mute.
I'm mute. Hi
There
there.
you go.
Hi.
We don't want to silence Gen Z. We want you to speak.
That was all my doing.
Victor Shi for Gen Z. So happy to have you back, Victor. We love you. We love you. We love you. You do have that new. So before you leave, I want you to plug again your new show on Politicon. I watched a little bit of it today with Adam Schiff. So one of the from the archives. Such a good episode. You're such a good interviewer. It's wonderful to have you here with us and have you let us ask you some questions. So I want to start with this question. I'm very, very concerned about what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida with college education. You are our college student on campus talking to us. You're an activist. What do you think of this? I'm freaking out over it, actually, like internally panicked. So I want your thoughts.
Yeah, Florida is literally the ground zero of the attack on young people. And we saw this starting really last year. And just to kind of set the table with Ron DeSantis and his attacks on what young people can learn in the classroom, teachers, what they can teach in the classroom. Last year was really kind of the first instance that we saw, at least Ron DeSantis, and he's by far the worst governor out of any Republican governor out there on young people, on trying to control education. We're seeing nothing like it, and it's really being sustained right now. But last year we saw first, there was this effort to ban transgender athletes from women's and girls' public school teams. And then later on last year, he also banned certain math textbooks because they were quote unquote too woke, or they mentioned Black history in it, which was absurd. And then later on in the school year, he banned he instituted this one law, as we all probably know, the Don't Say Gay bill, which prevented students from saying certain things in the classroom, teachers from saying certain things in the classroom that had to do with LGBTQ plus expression. And so that was last year. And this year, it's been just this continuation of Ron DeSantis trying to limit what students can learn. Earlier this year, it was first rejecting this AP African American history course. He accepted other courses like AP European history, AP Asian history, but it was AP African American history that he had problems with. He believed that under this quote unquote Stop Woke Act, that it violated Florida state policy, that it was not providing any educational value for students, which is, if we all think about it, I mean, Black history is so essential. Last month was Black History Month, and we know just how important Black history is in understanding what America is about. And so for Ron DeSantis to ban AP African American history and offer other forms of history is just really dangerous. And then yesterday, I was watching Alex Wagner's show on MSNBC. I'm not sure how many in your audience saw it, but she went down to New College, Florida, and did this piece with a bunch of students from New College. And they were saying that things like the DEI program and the DEI office at the school are now gone because what Ron DeSantis did on January 6th of this year, which is quite the date for him to do it, but he appointed a new board for the new college. And yet the other day they voted to get rid of the Office of DEI at New College. And so these students now, it's a very diverse campus, a lot of transgender folks, a lot of diverse people on campus, and they're getting rid of this office that would promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so it's just all around such a scary thing. I know, Stephanie, we've talked about this before, where, I mean, we've seen before in American history this attack on education, this effort to control students and control knowledge, but we've never seen it quite like this before. And it's really concerning to me. And, you know, just as a student, I was talking to one of my peers the other day about CRT and wokeness, and we were both saying we never heard of CRT before Ron DeSantis even mentioned it. I mean, before Republicans started using it as a campaign slogan. I mean, this is something that's taught in law schools. It's a very complex, very important, but intricate and difficult thing to understand that is not being taught in high schools, is not being taught in middle schools, but Republicans have hijacked the term for their own benefit. And it's just really disturbing. And so students across the country, I know, especially in those Republican states like Florida and also Texas, Georgia, where you're seeing a lot of this effort to control students, they're really kind of feeling like, you know, it's scary to go to school. And it's also scary for teachers to teach. So on all levels, it's very dangerous. And I think really bringing us toward this fascist and authoritarian kind of state where there isn't a complete history of America.
Or anything. I mean, the book banning and that, you know, the video of all the empty shelves it's really just like, it's like Fahrenheit 450, you know, it's crazy stuff. You know, the new college battle is going to be interesting to observe. You know, our friend Brett Petticord, I think I can say, because Cheryl said it in the comments, went there and he's been, you know, telling me about it a little bit. So it's a very liberal place, and it's going to be interesting to see, you know, just how the fight between these conservative assholes who really, you know, don't have anything to do with the place generally, how that winds up shaking out. It would be like, you know, him going to Berkeley, I suppose, and doing it if it was in California, like pick the most liberal. Is Berkeley still the most liberal one, Victor? I'm out of the loop here with this stuff. I don't know. Back in the day, it was.
I'm not sure if it's most. I think there's the most activism.
The brand,
yeah,
the brand is definitely that.
Yeah. So it's you know, it's nuts. Now you also have a Gen Z member of Congress, Maxwell Frost, who seems to be he's from Florida and is really, I think, doing a great job shining light on what DeSantis is doing, and also you know, bringing some how to handle these assholes to, you know, into the chambers of Congress. What do you think of him?
Maxwell is amazing. I had the honor and privilege of knowing him when he was first running to become a member of Congress. And now that he is a member of Congress, he's been, like you said, just absolutely amazing. He's someone who's on Twitter right now and on social media and doing everything he can to basically call out Ron DeSantis and saying, you know, we can't shy away from using the word fascist to describe this man, to describe what's happening in Florida. We have to embrace this because this is literally what's going on. And I think just for people in general, at least for me, you know, we don't really learn about fascism. We don't know what it looks like, but this is what it looks like. You have them just targeting young people. You have them targeting rights, targeting what you can learn in the classroom. And so it's not great, but not Ron DeSantis. Maxwell Frost is really shining a light on this. And in Congress so far, he's on some really important committees. He's on the Oversight Committee. He's on some other really important committees. And he's calling out Republicans in Congress who are just spewing nonsense. And I think we can all remember that one moment where he basically re-entered what Chrissy Teigen said about Donald Trump into the lexicon. And it was quite amazing what he was able to do. And he called out Republican talking points about the border. I mean, he's really kind of showing just how young people and this fresh kind of new perspective that young people can bring to the table. And, you know, it's not just him, though. You have a lot of other great young people, Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez. You have people who are just really showing us how to message in the right way, call out Republicans, and just kind of really promote just what Democrats stand for. And so I'm so proud of Maxwell Frost, and being a state from Florida is not easy, but he's showing us how it's done. So it's incredible.
That's the infuriating thing about Florida is like, Florida's great. Have you been to Florida? Florida's wonderful. And yet, you know, there's great people that live in Florida, great friends of mine who live in Florida, and I want them to be safe and I want everything to be okay. And yet this guy is pure fascist. And I know there's a lot of this, you know, people don't like the word. They like that their side likes to, you know, latch on to one word and parse it to death and be like, well,
Right,
technically, fascism is from the 1920s and 30s. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't, we're using the term colloquially and loosely as an umbrella term to mean
okay, go ahead.
all that shit. That's the way I use it.
Okay, that's the way you use it. That's not the way I use it.
How do you use it?
I use it very specifically for someone who is following the actual tenets of fascism as it was established by Mussolini and the Axis, right? Back in that day. I do think that there is going to be, because I see the sort of the seedlings of it. There's a couple of people I watch online because I know that they're in there with the semantics and kind of the arguments, and sometimes they craft crappy arguments that don't catch on, and sometimes they craft arguments that do catch on, and go kind of down the middle and wedge people who aren't as informed or aren't paying attention, and these sort of things take hold. And around the word fascism, those characters are playing right now and saying things like, these people are fake historians that are folks that are like friends of ours who are coming on who actually are not fake historians. They're heavy duty scholars. They know about fascism and strongmen and all of that, and saying, no, they you don't listen to those people. This is like, they're just frauds. And so the people who are actually the experts in authoritarianism and the experts in fascism and the experts in history, the true historians who teach, and if they've got a teaching credential, they're under attack. It's again this attack on teachers, the attack on educators, the attack on education, of saying that they're frauds somehow, or it's a grift and everything. But pay attention to me, a weirdo on Twitter, because my wife's father's uncle, whatever, actually fought in the war, and therefore I know what fascism really is, and you don't.
It's whatever Nicki Minaj's cousin's balls say.
Yeah. So I think it is important. I don't know whether we need a term because of that, because because it's being cornered into a specific spot in history, and there's a really concerted attempt to just only define it there as an event of the past and not something that we're experiencing in the present. Of course, these people are all Ron DeSantis stands, that are into this, or Kevin McCarthy or Matt Gaetz, right? So I think maybe neo-fascism, there's maybe there's a way to define the term in present day so that we can understand we're talking about right now, and we're talking about right now in a way that is informed. But
how much of this is also
just throw it out as an umbrella term, like a slur. I should be careful of that.
I mean an umbrella term exactly how you mean. An umbrella term for people that take the playbook and use it, who do fascist things. If you behave like a fascist, you are a fascist. It's really that.
Well, they have the power. And people who have the power to do it. So it's not just you're a fascist because you are espousing these beliefs online. It's this man is a governor and he's enacting legislation. And
he could be president, which is terrifying.
It is
very dangerous.
Victor, what were you going to say before?
I think just Democrats in general, I agree with both of what you said, but Democrats in general have to do so much better at calling out fascism. And I think just in general, just Americans, there is this American exceptionalism thinking that what happened to other countries can't happen to us, but this is literally happening in one of our own states. And it's, I think we have to do much better at calling it out. And I think maybe a new term would be good to get people to kind of recognize the threat that this poses in our lives. But I think right now we have to be following. People like Ruth Ben-Ghiat, people like Tim Snyder, people who do the work and are so credible because they have these, they do research, they teach, that's what they do. And if they are ringing the alarm bells, we should all be listening, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. The term, the term Nazi is it's National Socialist, and it's it's a very specific thing. The term fascist derives from the fascist, those things that they're on coins. They've been on coins for years and years and years. I happen to know. I think there's some on the dime actually, but that's what the term comes from. So it's sort of, I like that term because it isn't somebody's name. It isn't specific to a place. I think it's a good term, for that purpose. So, it's terrifying, and Gen Z is going to be, the people that are really going to bear the brunt of this. If DeSantis becomes president, it's very, very terrifying. I think.
What are the
It's
other
honestly horrifying.
Yeah.
What are the other things, Victor, that since we last talked to you that you've seen? I mean, it's great to have Max Frost and all that, but what are some things to give because you give such great hope? So what are some things that you've seen really progress and evolve in a positive way since we saw you last, which would have been what, like 3 or 4 months ago? Just some things that maybe you're kind of, and that are helpful to look forward to in the future, in the next year or two.
I mean, I was prepared to give something. I mean, there's so much. There's a lack of hope right now, and because you see what's happening in all these Republican states. But the one thing that gives me hope still is that after the 2022 election, I mean, you have people who are running for office on the state and local levels in levels that we have never seen before. I'm getting messages in my Twitter DMs and people and my friends telling me, "Hey, look at this person who's running for mayor of this town in Florida or this town in Alabama." And you have people who are 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, really kind of throwing their name out there. And I think you're starting to see young people really become engaged. And I think Democrats are doing a lot better in general of paying attention to young people and the power that we bring. I was talking to Jamie Harrison, and we were talking about just what needs to happen in 2024. And one of the things that Democrats are doing right now is they're really investing in young voters. They're trying to bring us to the table because we showed up in starting in 2018 throughout 2022.
Yeah.
And so now it's about how do we sustain that effort and continue engaging young people. And I think if we do that, it's going to be really good. And even for what President Biden is doing, I think a lot of young people, if you look at the polls right now, there was a new poll, not that we completely trust in polls, but there was a new poll out the other day, I think it was ABC and YouGov, that found that compared to this time last year, you have more than, I think, 12-point increase in the number of college and high school students who support Joe Biden over this past year. And I think we're starting to see a lot of his policies really come to fruition, and young people realize that the contrast between both parties, but also I think the good that President Biden is doing, and we're seeing that directly reflected in the numbers. Young people are really starting to catch on, I think, and as long as we can kind of continue having those conversations with young people, that's what's going to get us kind of motivated and also turned out to vote in 2024.
I love it. If he calls you guys whippersnappers, don't hold it against him. He's just an old guy.
It's all good. Okay, so you have a column on Resolute Square. You have a show on YouTube called On the Move, and you have the podcast with Joanne. How do you go to class? I don't even understand how you're doing all this stuff. And we can follow you on the Twitter at Victor Shi 2020, which now it's 3 years ago now. You did the thing where you put the year in.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Everyone always asks me whether or not I regret putting 2020, and I was like, it was just the year that I put it honestly because I wanted Joe Biden to win that year, but I didn't think that there would be a national pandemic. I mean, it was. I created the email in 2016 after the 2016 election, and I was like, 2020 has to be our year, but it was not. I mean, it was our year in the sense that we got Joe Biden, but it was also a really tough year as all of us.
But it doesn't have to be the year. It could also be that you have really clear vision.
Clear vision.
That's what it is. If anybody asks, that's what it is.
Yes.
Okay. I know you got to go, so we're gonna say goodbye. I want you to. I know you have a plan that's more fun than stuff that we all
hanging with us.
But have a good time, and Victor, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Great to see you as always.
We love you.
Thanks so much for having me. Great seeing you both.
Keep going. I love him so much.
He's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna turn my page.
Turn our page. We're going to the timer now. I didn't.
Okay. We have to do the timer. I had to do this because it's important. There's been news about Leonard Leo, my friend Leonard Leo.
There is.
I was going to ask Victor who in Gen Z embarrassed him, but of course the answer is Kyle Rittenhouse. We know this already, so we don't need to mention that. But there's Gen Xers that embarrass me, and Leonard Leo is a Gen Xer, man. And Ted Cruz is a Gen Xer. Alex Jones is a Gen Xer. Devin Nunes is a Gen Xer. It's really fucking mortifying to our generation to have these people involved. But Leonard Leo is also. He's somehow a Gen Xer who's done his part to destroy the country. And there was a big article that came out this week by Heidi Prisbilla at Politico, just in case people missed it, because I know that Leonard Leo tends not to be reported on that much. I just wanted to kind of bang through here some of the key takeaways here. This is on Politico. It's called Dark Money and Special Deals, How Leonard Leo and his friends benefited from his judicial activism. Yeah. Leonard Leo, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know, former head of the Federalist Society, and is kind of this shadowy guy that operates all these not-for-profits, Judicial Watch, the Beckett Group where Josh Hawley worked, and he's got his fingers in all these pies, and he's basically the Supreme Court whisperer and was responsible for all of Trump's, Supreme Court nominees, all of whom are so excellent, such fine, outstanding people that they're going to fucking destroy the entire our country and probably the planet.
Oh my God!
I just want to read a few key paragraphs from this article by, again, at Politico, Heidi Przybyla. A network of political nonprofits formed by judicial activist Leonard Leo moved at least $43 million to a new firm he is leading, raising questions about how his conservative legal movement is funded. Again, so what's happening, this is now me explaining, he's taken money out of not-profits, putting it into a for-profit concern that he owns. $43 million
is that legal? How can that be legal?
Leo's, we'll get to that. Leo's own personal wealth appeared to have ballooned as his fundraising prowess accelerated, since its efforts to cement the Supreme Court's conservative majority helped to bring about its decision to overturn abortion rights. Most recently, Leo reaped a $1.6 billion windfall from a single donor in what is likely the biggest single political gift in U.S. history. We remember when that happened, okay? Yeah. Again, he's being rewarded for taking women's rights away. That's basically what's happening. Speaking of fucking fascism.
Well said.
Okay.
That's the right way to say that.
Leo's Virginia-based CRC advisors, CRC, C is, I guess, Catholic, Republican, Conservative, I don't fucking know, a political consulting firm that was created in 2020 and for which he is chairman, declined to say what services it provided for the $43 million payments. Again, $43 million, a lot of money. That's like what Daniel Jones is going to make next year to quarterback the Giants. Anyway,
that's his personal money now. That's the deal.
Okay. Yeah. Now, now we get into the meat of this piece. And this is a little subsection called Trump's Judge Whisperer. The payments to CRC, which is Leo's for-profit concern, over 2 years from Leo-aligned nonprofits represent an increase over the already significant $15 million a separate Leo for-profit entity known as BH Group took in over 4 years during Supreme Court nomination public relations campaigns beginning in 2016. Our friend Kavanaugh's stuff. Yeah. The spending by Leo-aligned nonprofits on his for-profit businesses coincided with changes in his personal lifestyle and finances.
Oh.
No way.
Oh.
IRS and other public records between 2016 and 2020 show a major expansion of Leo's personal wealth that coincided with the start of his work for Trump and the creation of his own for-profit entity called BH Group.
Oh, both happened in 2016. Helped with all of this.
Yep. By the way, as an aside, they want to do away with the IRS for some reason.
For some reason. I wonder what that could do.
Okay. Over the 2 decades before he became Trump's Judge Whisperer, that's in quotes, Leo had maintained a largely middle-class lifestyle, directing one of Washington, D.C.'s many nonprofit organizations. Since 2016, however, his recent wealth accumulation has included 2 new mansions in Maine, because one mansion in Maine just isn't enough. 4 new cars, a new car. Okay. Private school tuition for his children, hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations to Catholic causes, and a wine buyer and locker at Morton's Steakhouse.
Of course, you knew that.
We knew that. He's a sommelier. He loves his wine. He's not a sommelier. He's an oenophile. Yeah. Drink beer.
I thought we did adolescence with this guy, but
he's an adolescent. He's from a crappy high school in the middle of New Jersey, and he's in Paris. Sorry. Okay, here is a key takeaway. You asked about the legality. Ready? Everyone's listening. This is really important right here.
Okay, let's hear
There are no campaign finance laws or ethics rules governing the Supreme Court and its 9 justices serving lifetime terms.
But what does that have to
Justices,
do? Wait a minute.
no laws. Justices have
This was-
chosen to make annual disclosures on outside income, although those forms have been criticized for having serious gaps, as we know from our fucking Kavanaugh investigation.
Okay, wait, time out. Yes, we know that from our Kavanaugh. But what is Leonard Leo's PAC? He's not a Supreme Court justice. I really truly don't understand this. What is his raising money into his private PAC, regardless of where it decides to spend its money? Why does that have anything to do with the legality around transferring money from a nonprofit into a profit?
I don't know. And in the article, if you read the article, they quote people who are experts in tax avoidance and that kind of thing.
Okay.
The name Wayne LaPierre came up in the article by one of the experts because Wayne LaPierre also, was ran the NRA, and then I think the quote in the article is "flew too close to the sun." So Leonard Leo, a good Catholic who understands that the rich man and the camel going through the eye of a needle. I'm sure that somebody that goes to mass every day and is as devout as he knows how horrible it is to be a rich man in the eyes of God. Right? You'd think?
Boy,
I don't know. I haven't gone to church since I was 18, and even I know that shit.
I can't even with this fuckery.
$43 million for this motherfucker. Yeah, that's it. And again, it looks to me, at least on its face, like he is being rewarded for what he did to take rights away from women.
That's right.
That's what he's doing. Whatever fuckers are paying him for services rendered, seems to me. For
like Jared getting $2 billion.
Exactly like that. Exactly like that. So this guy is a fucker, and everybody should know his name. His name is Leonard Leo. Tell him I said hi.
Fuck you, Leonard Leo.
Yeah. You think you're a good Catholic and you're not. You're bullshit. You're full of shit. Knight of Malta, my ass.
All right, good job. It's good to take it out on that guy. He's very strange.
That was exactly 8 minutes. Look at that.
Yeah, you're doing.
We're doing good. Look, it's not even an hour yet. We're like,
it's not even an hour. All right, do we have announcements?
We have announcements. We're having an after show. That's the announcement. That's the main announcement.
After hours.
We want to thank everybody for signing up, for doing the memberships and all that stuff. It's like YouTube. It's hard. Like on my Substack, when people sign up and then they want a refund or I have very good controls over that.
Yeah.
At YouTube, it's weird, and I can't control things.
Are people wanting refunds? Oh
no. But there's like people. I know people are having problems with. Somebody was saying I tried to sign up 3 times, and other people like I signed up and then it canceled. Then I'm trying to sign up again, and all this stuff.
Okay.
So we apologize for all of that. We're grateful to everybody for signing up and
thanks for trying.
And being a member. If there are any problems with anything, please email me. It's just my name at Gmail. Just email me. I will do my best to resolve the problem. It's not us being like, Leonard Leo. We're not taking the $43 million and buying 2 mansions. We want everybody to be happy. That's what we're doing. Yeah. Again, if you've signed up and to one of the top 2 tiers, you get stickers.
Oh, so, look, somebody wants stickers.
If you want stickers, yes, J. Rance Willa. You need to email me and send me your address, and I will send you stickers happily. Only on the condition that you do the impression that you did on Lolo's Lounge last week. So,
tuned into the Lolo's Lounge just a little bit. This is very insider for people who don't know what Lolo's Lounge is. It's the announcement section. It's the announcement section. We were like, okay, let's go to Lolo's Lounge tonight. We meant to announce it, and we forgot because we just forgot last week. I was so sick.
I think she is. After the after show, she's doing a thing where there's something going on.
After hours.
After hour thing, I think she's doing something. So
good. Okay. Well, we'll give you a shout out, Lolo, in our little club afterwards. I remember
we enjoyed the show tremendously.
We enjoyed it. We were really on the phone with one another, just literally
cackling and howling. Yeah.
Howling. So we appreciate the lounge.
Okay. So again, any problems, anybody wants stickers, email me, send me your address. We'll send out the stickers. I have them in a pile. I have plenty of them. I have a box full of them. They're small, but I send more than one. I send more than one, as people saw. Yeah. Did you get yours, by the way?
Yes.
You didn't
I
even
love
say.
them.
Okay.
I
I
forgot to
sent you
tell
like a
you, but
bunch.
I
Yeah.
know I love. I'm trying to figure out where to stick them.
I don't
I
know.
think I
On
don't.
your laptop is good.
I've not been a laptop. Put it on the laptop, but it is my own show with you. So I think I should do it. I've just never done that to my electronics.
Oh my
But
God. It's great.
but
Once you do it, it's like a tattoo. You can't just have one sticker on
you
the
have to have a
laptop. You have
lot.
to have multiple.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Multiple.
I'll try to do that and then maybe show a picture. Put it on
Okay.
Alex Knows. All right, here we go. Ready?
Crimea Nation. What does this mean, LB? What's going on here?
Okay. So, Alex Murdoch, Alec, however the fuck he says his name. Remember, last week, I had only come on to this story. I am so deep in this now. As you know, I went all the way in. And I was sitting and learned all about who is Buster? What is this all about? There are 5 bodies in 6 years around this family, this man, Alec, and his father, quite frankly, and his son. That's even his surviving son. So I just fell into the Murdoch rabbit hole to try to wrap my arms around it. And I today even I was trying to think about why did this captivate me so much and why is it captivating the nation beyond sort of what we're being told is the reason why we're all paying attention to this. I just felt like there's something so big going on here. There's something connected to our national psyche with this case, and I don't think it's just the boy in the well, the baby in the well, and oh my God, all the networks are just this is something. It really is something more, and I realized for me, it was watching that man try to cry on the stand. And I spoke to this last week a little bit of how I thought he was going to get off because he went right for the folksy language. And it's not that I'm saying that people of a certain wealth and power stratus don't talk that way. It's that it was so clear to me in my ear that he was, oh, I don't know. Yes, sir. No, sir. Oh, yeah, because I lied. I don't know why. And it's just, oh, I would never, there's a way of speaking. It was almost like listening to somebody who'd done something, got caught but was trying to get out of it and did it by just trying to be an innocent child again of the South, right? And of the nation. And just the fact that he was trying so hard to cry. And that's what had me convinced he's going to get off. I'm so glad he didn't. And they decided in 45 minutes, and good for that jury. And why that is so important is we really have, since Kavanaugh, I think what Kavanaugh really was this right in everybody's face moment of, if you're a powerful white man in this country and you get caught, all you got to do is cry. We had Lindsay crying, you had Kavanaugh crying, and the whole thing folded. Everybody folded and just said, oh my God, they can't cry. They're crying. Let him have his job. Poor Brett Kavanaugh. And it was this persecution thing and all these moms for Kavanaugh and all these women of, rising up and Donald Trump whispering out to them because it was this idea that if the patriarchy shows that it's vulnerable or wounded or hurt in some way, that the whole system of our nation has to rally to protect that rather than to seek justice from even his own fucking kid who's blew his brain out so thoroughly that organ had to be put in a separate bucket to be delivered to the coroner. This man wasn't just any powerful man either. He truly was, and his family, the men in his family, were the representation of this nation. The judge had to take down the oil portrait of this man's grandfather, which sat there in the courtroom that everybody passed by it as a symbol, a signifier of the law. We're a democracy because we have a constitution, which is about the rule of law. And it has been in this nation, this undercurrent sense that we've all had, especially in the South, that that law was written by white propertied males for white propertied males. And there was no other contemporary representation of the evil in the body of a white propertied male connected to the laws of our nation and the Constitution than Alec Murdaugh and his family, his male hierarchy, patriarchy legacy. In that particular courtroom where they had to remove, the judge had to remove that oil painting so it wouldn't influence the people, the jurors for the prosecution or the defense. That's how connected white property men. Where did this crime happen? On that vast fucking property that he got as payment for being a representative of the rule of law in South Carolina. So this wasn't just a distraction. It wasn't just any old case. It wasn't just any murder case. It wasn't even a white privilege case, even though it was. This really truly is about our nation. And the moment, how far is there a line where our nation, which is about the people, the jury being the representation of that in this instance, is there a line where the people of this nation will finally stand up and say, no, no. You don't just get to cry, right? This was evil. You're accountable. We're going to hold you accountable. And it's not going to fold because daddy's crying. So I think it was an incredibly important moment. I think the judge was astounding how he read the sentencing today, how he delivered that sentence, how he addressed him, how he talked about him to his face. You may be a different person. There might have been a different person because of your opioids and because of your flaws, everything he was crying about. But you're the same individual. One individual. And you don't just get to kill people in this country and get away with it because you cried. I was so fucking grateful for that verdict and for the judge today and the sentencing. And I think if it weren't for procedure, because the prosecutors didn't go for the death penalty, I think that judge would have sentenced him to death. And it's not that I'm a proponent of the death penalty. He remarked on it, the judge, in the sentencing, because he was going to, if that barrier wasn't there for him, he would have gone for it. He would have gone for the full extent of his own power to make sure that this man was stopped. So there's a little bit of hope in there.
Maybe
There's
this
a
is
little bit of hope.
Maybe it's the pendulum moment, you know?
I don't think so. I'm not that hopeful, but I'm glad we found the floor.
Do we need to bring Victor back on to give you more hope?
No, I'm feeling better.
Okay.
I'm feeling better.
You know, we have to have hope. Hope is an important thing.
It's important.
And I don't know.
Faith in one another. Faith in one another. I didn't have faith in those jurors. Not all of them. And I was wrong.
I don't know. At the end of the day, I think that the good people vastly outnumber the bad people. The bad people are louder and they have positions of power because they're psychopaths, and they are richer and wealthier because they only care about that. But there are a lot more of us. There just are. And
Well, there's a real evil sweeping this nation, though. There really is. And back onto that note, you heard the prosecution called Murdoch a family annihilator. So in that cluster B personality disorder, this is what I've learned, and I don't think I'm getting this wrong right now because I spent a lot of time with the person who taught this to me and then reading up on it. Which is where you find stalkers, where you find serial killers, where you just find the kinds of brains that latch on to things and will go all the way, right? Will just go crash through what would normally be boundaries that would and moral codes that would stop, sort of your average citizen. These folks, no, they just will go. And
so psycho killers, stalkers, Twitter owners, I guess,
Twitter
maybe.
owners, yeah. Neo-Nazis,
Neo-Nazis, for sure.
radicalized, and you can radicalize somebody and if they've got some of the traits, so you can sort of work up this cluster, and what it is, it's psychopathy, narcissism, and borderline. And when those three personality disorders, they can show up together. Sometimes they're in different groupings, but when there's a particular way that they show up in cluster where you get something like an Alex Murdoch, and inside of that, you can have a family annihilator. Which is somebody who sees that there's an existential threat to their ego, so that the narcissism is in there. The psychopathy allows them to contemplate and take acts of real evil. And the borderline means that there's nothing that can stop them from focusing on where they're going, typically, and trying to then, if they survive it, if the narcissism's in the driver's seat, because you don't know which one's in the driver's seat until you see whether they, with these family annihilators, whether they take their own life after killing everybody in their family, or whether they stay alive and try to do what Alex Murdoch did of like, I'm just going to orchestrate this whole thing and somehow that'll all work out. And, I've got enough power to do that. And he had enough attention and pre-planning where he thought he could get away with he thought he had his scheme all worked out, really down to alibis and the whole works, and where the guns were, and calling everybody out, and his wife and his son out to the kennels, and where he was going to do it. He had it planned out. And planned out to survive it, so that he could then probably get a tremendous amount of attention, and it would be poor Alex Murdoch. You can believe what happened to his family. Let's not prosecute this guy, all because there were these threats to him that were going to tear down his legacy and expose him for the evil that he is. This is evil. Okay, this is evil. This is what it is. It's so hard. I was listening to people around that verdict and around the crime, talking about it, just going, contemplating, well, what could his motivation be? How could he, well, what was really kind of going back and forth on motive? Evil is the motive. So, where we're facing evil in our nation, everyone's trying to project of like, what would I do in this situation, or trying to figure out another human being who's engaging in evil, based on your own sense of right and wrong, and where you would put motivations and what would drive you. That's so misplaced. It'll never work. Well, what you have to do is say no. You have to stand up and say, stop. No. That's what there is to do, not try to figure it out. Just say no to it. And do everything you can to shore up all of our institutions and our body politic so that it can't keep spreading. This is the calling of our time, is to say no to the evil going on in our nation. It is the moment we're all in. And we're either going to have the fortitude to do that, or it's going to roll right over us. We're going to be in the dog kennel.
Yeah.
With the gun at the back of our head. So there's a lot to that trial.
Wow, that was a lot. That was good. Yeah. I didn't watch a minute of it, so I'm grateful to you for explaining. Now I feel like I missed, but I guess that there's the Netflix show I can watch if I want to find out what happened.
The Netflix show. I haven't seen the HBO. I've listened to some of the podcasts. There's a couple podcasters who woman named Mandy, who stuck to, and her partner, who stuck to the story and kind of pulled it out of what would normally have been sort of news obscurity, and ran with the conversation in the show in such a way that I think it helped. I do think it helped. I think it helped the prosecutors there, the district attorney, and the attorney general understood how important this was. They accelerated the case. The judge spoke of that in the sentencing today. Everyone gave every resource they could because they realized we have to say no to this evil. We're standing up to evil here. And it doesn't matter how flawed, and his son that he killed and his wife that he killed were horribly flawed human beings. But you don't ever, it's not, they lost their life. And there was a need for justice for them and for justice for the community that this family had been, quite frankly, terrorizing for quite a while.
Yeah.
So good on all those storytellers for understanding the importance of this story and how it resonates. That's our job. That's your job and my job. You weren't in this one. I'm in it. That's
Yeah.
fine. But we're normally in this. We're so that we can keep bringing it to the forefront and putting words around it so that people can understand the moment that we're in.
I think what you said about the evil, somebody on my podcast, now I cannot remember who it was talking about how, and I apologize, when people are amoral as opposed to immoral, most people are not that way. So it's hard for people who are moral by nature to even understand how a brain like that functions, to even grok it at all. And I think that it's like that with evil. Like, it's like, how can you, I didn't pay attention to the white nationalist stuff and the Nazi stuff and the cute, because I just thought, it's so dumb. Who the fuck believes this stupid crap? Like, but people, I was wrong. People do, and the Nazi shit is real. There was another article in, I believe, HuffPo about this Nazi lady in Sacramento who was, encouraging all these mass murderers and stuff. I mean, just really just evil shit. And there it is in the capital of California.
There it is. Yeah.
It's fucking.
Don't try to project your own motivations onto it to figure it out. And when you can't, then they start crying, and then because they know that that'll work on you. Oh, I understand tears. That's pain. Oh my God, this is someone who's in pain.
Yeah.
No, that's not what's happening.
No, it's not.
So you just got to stand up to it and say, that's evil. I don't seek to understand it other than to say it will have no quarter here. You can't come into this sacred space.
Or if we could just say it in 2 words, punch Nazis. That's it. Those are the 2 words.
Nazis.
Yeah. Don't retweet Nazis. Block people that retweet Nazis would be good.
That's what you do. Just
yeah.
block.
Fuck Nazis, man. Just punch them. And if you can't punch them, block them and deny them platforms.
Yeah. Don't do the narcissistic supply. Cut
them off from the narcissistic supply. So so we're gonna go on at 9:30. So we've got like a 14-minute break. People can refreshing their drinks or whatever they need to do. You people have foolishly encouraged me to play guitar, and I'm going to do that on the after show.
After hours.
On the after hours, whatever the
we'll change
after party.
We're calling it if you're going to keep doing that.
The after party. I think that I'm going to call it after hours, but one word, like without the space.
Yeah,
I think that's the new thing because it'll help me remember it.
Okay, it will.
Après. So thank you everybody for watching. As always, wonderful show. Thanks to Victor for joining us. We're gonna True Player will release the link. I will tweet out the link, I guess.
I'll retweet your tweet.
It's a weird technical issue where if I don't, I have to start it as an invisible link and then convert it to a members only link, or the StreamYard doesn't work. Nobody cares about this. That's why we're not being mysterious about it. There's an actual technical reason why we have to be cagey about it. And just to end the show, wait, now I'm gonna cry. Today would have been my dad's 75th birthday, so I want to say, happy birthday, wherever you are. Amen.
Happy birthday, Pops.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Good night.
Good night. Love you.